Hi everybody. I am with a dear friend, Deborah Tilden. She is an incredible woman who has done so much for women, for the preborn, and I am going to let you, Deborah, introduce yourself. So go ahead.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you, Cindy. It's always great. It's always nice to be in-person interviews, but
Mhm.
Zoom gives us the awesome opportunity to connect worldwide, actually.
Yes.
Um, it's interesting that I would have thought I would be doing what I'm doing today.
And
Um,
and what is it?
looking
What are the organizations, the main organization and the ones underneath it?
Well, the main organization is Life Victory Enterprises, LLC, and it started out as a coaching practice. And the words life victory came out of my own story very soon after going through my own healing from my past abortion as a young woman. And that was in the spring of 2003, is literally when those words, life victory, it was like God just downloaded them into my heart. And it was like this whole transformation. We use the symbol of the butterfly because when you think of the butterfly's transformation, the miracle transformation of it, it starts out as a caterpillar, creepy crawly on the ground, and
Mhm.
then it puts itself up and it sits on a branch, a tree, and that cocoon, it's like the healing journey from an abortion is like sitting in that cocoon and just letting God do the healing because you just have to, it's really a process of sitting still. Because I spent 23 years trying to run away from all of the things that my abortion, little did I know, had created in my life.
What are some of
And
those things? What are some of those things that happened to you that you
well,
were
just
unaware?
later, well, immediately after was just getting into a lot of substance abuse. Um,
Yeah.
I was obsessed with food and then exercise. Um, it was this crazy thing that I had never dealt with any of that stuff before. And so
What
these
other
were
things?
just things
Yeah.
that,
And what other things throughout the years?
well, just being the relationship, we were engaged to be married. And we made the decision in October of 1980. Uh, we were getting married in March of 1981. I had graduated from high school that year, and we made the decision to keep it a secret that I was pregnant from our family and everybody else, to end the life of our child. And just the way that it changed our relationship
I've,
tremendously.
I've
We
heard that.
barely made it the first year.
Yeah.
And then over the years, it just became this elephant in the middle of the room that we weren't talking about it. Society wasn't talking about it. And then later on, just the ability, it's almost like you go back and forth between um, overprotecting your children to
Mhm.
almost neglect, because
I've heard that too.
there is such a disconnect of the soul that I was in a fog for all those years.
Mhm.
And it took me 11 years to ever talk about that experience with a women's pastor, but it was really just barely touched on.
Yeah.
And, but it was 23 years after my abortion that my husband and I dealt with it and really talked about that life.
Mhm.
And since then it's just been this unpacking. I wanted to understand so much more about it. For example, one thing that is very common for women, I had no idea that other women were dealing with very similar things.
Right.
Like
Secret.
Mother's Day was
Yeah. Very.
always difficult, and
Yes.
I didn't know why. I had three beautiful children, wonderful life, home, beautiful home,
Mhm.
and
Everything on the
Mother's
outside looked
Day,
great, didn't it?
it was like the end October, September, October were always just very foreboding and difficult and just depressing. And I just contributed to living in the Pacific Northwest. The
Yeah.
sun started to go away. But little did I know, as I went through my healing, and we had a group of 8 other women, and as you share your stories, all of this stuff comes out. And Mother's Day was probably one of the most difficult. Partly for me was our daughter would have been born around Mother's Day in May.
Yeah.
So it magnified it.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard this from so many people.
It was like the light went on, and it allowed me to acknowledge that. And so that was the season after my healing. Life Victory just came to be, and it's just been a steady process. I've shared my testimony a lot through Silent No More Awareness is an organization I've been a part of, Operation Outcry. My story has actually is an affidavit with Operation Outcry. I saw an interview you had with Alan Parker, the Justice Foundation, dear man. And he's been kind of the spiritual father for a lot of, women who have gone through this and have these stories. It's like being a witness, giving testimony to what our experience was.
And it helps women when they do share their stories, especially when it's in a context of love and acceptance and no condemnation.
Yes.
And then when other women hear the stories, it gives them hope and courage that they can be open. And when those things come to light, there can be healing. So I want to know what Life Victory is and how it can help women and how we can point them to that.
Well, Life Victory Coaching is one of the divisions underneath the Life Victory Enterprises. And one of the things that has been so apparent is when women make that choice to end the life of their own child and are walking in those situations, a lot of times we don't have a sense of purpose. Life Victory Coaching is about establishing your worth as a woman, and understanding who you are, how you're wired, how you're created, your personality type. A lot of times we form ourselves into the mold that all the people around us think we should be. But God has created us in every single individual that has ever walked the planet, is walking now, and will ever live, just unique individuals.
I know.
And so we explore that part of a person. It's just self-awareness. And then once we discover that through different personality assessments and just journaling and discovering more about the individual, it's learning to accept ourselves, learning emotional intelligence, and walking through those steps, because self-acceptance is a big deal. There's a lot of
and
interestingly enough, when I started doing this, I wasn't focusing really on the abortion issue, but it just so happened that about 75% of my clients coming to me had an abortion in their past. So we would take a step back as we were getting to know each other, and I would offer them some of the programs I use are Save One, which has for women, for men, for ripple effect for families. So I've worked with actually couples as well through that coaching process. Forgiven and Set Free is another one that I've used, and there's Surrendering the Secret. There's some really, really good ones out there. I kind of let them handpick what they'd like to do. So we kind of take a step back from the actual life coaching process, because this truly is a roadblock in front of a lot of women being able to get unstuck from where they are in life, breaking some of those patterns of unhealthy behaviors that just kind of keep them, it's this crazy cycle that they end up on. And so we just, we walk down that road first, and that just gives them an ability to understand who God is, because that's the first step of the healing process. Because before going through the healing after an abortion is, it's a grieving process. It's acknowledging the life that was within you and walking through. And part of that is forgiving those around you, understanding who were the influencers in your life to make that decision. What was your support system or lack of support
and
in the middle of you making that decision? So it's all in the process. It's kind of a daily process of taking those self-destructive, toxic thoughts out of a woman's thought processes and starting to replace them with,
The
you know,
truth.
affirmation and love and, you know, understanding how precious they are
That's right.
and how much God loves them. And I think I will get choked up. I never want to lose that touch of just how, because I've walked it. Because I just remember it. It brings back memories of that journey I was on. So to have that, you know, you never want to lose the compassion or just become callous. That it's creating a safe space
So
to
when
be
you,
able to unpack the story of one's life.
right. So if I could interrupt here, the tears in your eyes was acknowledging the journey that you've been through in being touched by the love of God
Mm-hmm.
through other people, bringing him into a tremendous purpose and value of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
you're his daughter, your princess, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to offer that to other women.
Right. And to be able to overcome the things that hold us back,
Right.
breaking out of, you know, unhealthy patterns of,
I understand that.
yeah, there's
It's called
so many
skin
things.
thinking. Yeah.
Well, and abortion is such a fracturing of the soul, and I never saw it that way. And when I think of the tears, I'm looking at the camera and I see the Vitae pen. It's such a beautiful acknowledgement of just that the life. And boy, when you do walk through that journey, there's a lot of tears that come because it is a grief journey, but it really is essential. Tears can be so cleansing for being able to, I just felt like the tears that I cried during that period of time, it cleansed my soul.
It does.
It was like a washing,
Yes.
the Holy Spirit washing of just being free from that grief and loss, and being able to acknowledge my child's life, and also just, you know, walking. My husband and I finally, after 23 years, like I said, we went to a Beauty for Ashes retreat.
Yeah.
And it was the first time we had ever acknowledged, after, you know, the day that we had the abortion, we had a discussion about it, but it was never,
Right. So
that
after
day was
so
never
after
talked about
23
again.
years,
Yes.
finally we're able to talk about this event.
Yes.
And you have since now had much deeper intimacy, much better connection, and there's
Oh
life
yeah.
flowing that never was before. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, just being able to acknowledge. And the one thing that he said, you know, he apologized. He said he was so sorry that he didn't step up and be the man that he should have been during that time.
I've
But
heard
he
that
was,
from other
you
men.
know, he had gone through college, and, you know, it was not a baby yet. You know, just a blob of tissue, and it was all the psychology classes he was taking, and you
Right.
know, we were.
The truth is starting to get out. Deborah, what I love is that you have taken a very painful, destructive event in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and you have chosen to face it, to look at it, to bring it up. You have chosen to not be a victim. You have
Right.
chosen to get help. You have chosen to walk through the grief, and now you are helping other women. So I want to conclude this interview with you telling people about how they can get a hold of you,
Okay.
and what services that you have. And we'll also be putting this underneath the video when we do put it out there.
Okay.
Interview.
Well, we do have a website. It's lifevictory.com, lifevictory.com. You can reach me at Deborah@lifevictory.com. That is my email. The website has a really easy way to connect, and it shows the different resources we have, because we really focus on spirit, soul, and body. There's a lot of things that we have that are going on in our life that also affect our physical body.
Right.
And you can find my
So
phone number.
it's comprehensible. Which
it's very it's a very holistic. I try to take a really holistic approach. Just I'm actually in a healthier place by far than I was at 58. Can I say my age?
Yes.
Than I was at 28 and 38. And it really is through taking these things that have affected our life.
The truth really sets you free, and it has
Totally
been
does.
when I made the pendant, I had no idea what was up ahead, and I was astonished with how many women opened up to me with tears in their eyes. Friends that I've known for years, strangers that I had never met.
Right. It's
and
a safe space.
It is, and there's a longing. There's a
space.
longing for women to know that they can be heard, and there's a safe place. And I know you're a very safe person, and I want to recommend Deborah to you. Look up her in her website, which is again
lifevictory.com. Just very lifevictory, all one word.com.
Okay. And if you are a woman that is, if you have a secret, choose life. Choose to get it out in the open with people that understand and love you and will lead you to fullness. And Deborah will lead you to help you understand who you are and understand your purpose and your unique gifts, and life can begin again.
Yes.
So Deborah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Cindy. It's great.
I'm so grateful that our paths crossed, and yes, in many different ways. So
yes,
look forward to interviewing you again, because there's other things that I want you to be able to share with our audience. So thank you very much, Deborah.
Great to be with you. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.